guys, so we embarked on a new series, and so we want to continue with that series. Today we're going to look at part 2 of the series that we embarked on. So these were lessons that I've learned on my road to 30. So today I want us to look at 10 lessons that I have learned on my road to 30 regarding relationships. So, 10 lessons that I've learned in terms of relationships on my road to 30 have been very valuable. And some of these things I really wish I knew them earlier so that I wouldn't have made the many mistakes that I made during the time that I was in dating and all the other things. So being in relationships can be a very exhausting thing. We see a lot of people going through so many things, heartaches, pain, simply because of the decisions that they decided to make. So things that I have learned on my road to 30 regarding relationships are as follows. The first thing that I want us to know is put your focus on God. God is the first one that we're supposed to depend on. Having a relationship with God is the very most important thing that we must do, because God is the one that guides us. God is the one that directs us, because on our own we cannot do anything that is right. We cannot do anything that is reasonable. But we have to understand that God is the one that gives us the right direction, and only when you are in a relationship with Him, only when you understand His ways and how He directs us, will you be able to make proper decisions when it comes to relationships. Without having a proper relationship with God, you cannot make proper decisions when it comes to relationships with other people, but mostly I mean intimate relationships that may lead to marriage. So have a relationship with God as the main goal, and He will direct you and point you. I'm not saying that God is going to point you to say that is the man you're going to marry, but He's going to guide you. He's going to give you the wisdom and the knowledge that you need in order for you to make such proper decision regarding your relationship. It's very important, because this is life, and who you end up with determines how your life ends up. The next thing, point number 2, I want you to know that relationships have got natural steps, and these natural steps are as follows. I want you to know that in the beginning of every relationship, mostly, let's say even when you get into marriage, there's a honeymoon stage where you are in a bubble, where everything is all nice, all juicy. There's nothing wrong. When you look at the person, he's a living embodiment of an angel. Everything about that person is perfect. Okay, there's that phase that every couple is bound to go through, or every relationship is bound to go through. And then we move from that honeymoon stage into a transition stage. This transition stage is a stage that is in between the transitions, the honeymoon stage and the reality stage. So there's a transition stage that helps us or moves us from the honeymoon into the reality. So this transition stage happens when you begin to notice certain things. The reality begins to kick in, and then we move into the reality stage, where you begin to see things for what they really are. Our true characters begin to appear, who we really are in our attitudes. Those things begin to show, where you no longer hide, you no longer have to, cover up who you are. It's in that stage where a lot of things happen in relationships, which can either build you or break you. These stages are very important, and they are going to happen, But the next stage is something that I need you to be very aware of. It's the retaliation stage. In this retaliation stage, you will find a couple, the relationship reaches a point where people no longer work at, being good for the other person. They relax, they draw backwards, and then they no longer put in what they need to put in for that relationship to move, for that relationship to begin to develop and to become better. Then the last stage is the rejection stage. And at the rejection stage, just know that things have gone to the dogs. People divorce, or people separate. If it's in a relationship, people separate. In marriage, people divorce. So one thing that I need you to realize is that when these phases begin to start, when you move from the honeymoon stage and then the reality of the relationship begins to show, it is important for you to not retaliate. It's important for you to not, just embark on letting the relationship be or not doing anything. It's important for you to begin to bring in new things in the relationship, to begin to rediscover what are you going to do that is going to make this relationship work, that will make this relationship keep going until death does you part, and not problems, and not whatever situation is there. You need to find new things. But please do not bring in things that are ungodly to try and make the relationship work, because it's only godly principles and doing the right thing that is going to make that relationship work. Find date nights. Remember what made you be with the person in the first place. Different activities, okay, that are going to spice up your relationship and make you people happy and just enjoy what God has given you. But trust me, those phases will come. And the other stage, the third thing that I want you to know is that money is important, but money is not everything. A lot of people have reached a point where money is the main goal. If a man does not have money, if a woman does not have money, they just can't be with that person, because you need to feed me, you need to do all those things. Yes, you need to be fed. Yes, you need to have whatever you need to have. But I want you to realize is, if you have a person who has the vision, who has the determination to achieve, you will have it all, unless the person does not have any vision whatsoever. But remember, a person can have money and still not have vision. And if they do not have vision, trust me, you still go down. There's no achievement there. But money should not be the defining factor as to why you should be with a person. It is important, but it's not everything. For some of us, we got married without having anything, but God gave us everything because we saw the vision, we saw what God had placed and what He had allowed, what He had put before us, and we embarked and pushed, and God has been faithful. God has always provided, and God has always been there, because we knew that He was everything and the finances were not everything. So I want you to also make allowances for each other's faults and forgive. People are going to make mistakes. The same way your partner, your friend, the person you are with in the relationship is going to make a lot of mistakes. So it is important for you to make allowances for mistakes, because if everything they do is a red flag and you say it's a no, you are not going to find a person who's going to be 100% clean, because as we are constantly making mistakes, even towards the Lord, our God and our personal Savior. And we may be constantly making the same mistakes, but God always, makes an allowance for our mistakes. I'm not saying that He entertains the sin. He knows that we will make mistakes, but He forgives us continuously, and that's why we're constantly going back to confess of our sins, of our iniquities. So I need you to be in a place where you should be open to forgiving. And when you forgive, please move on and do not point back when a person probably does something wrong. You come and say, you made that mistake and you're here making the same mistake. Who made you judge? Okay? It's not your place to do that. The only thing that we are called to do, is if God forgave us, we should always be forgiving, and you should be open, because it also teaches your heart. It also molds your heart, to be more like Christ. I feel relationships also really do that to us. They teach us a whole lot. And in saying so, the next point that I would like us to look at is that we know that if we need to be patient. Patience is a very important factor, because without patience you can never forgive. Without patience you can never understand, you can never go through the different transitions that happen in a relationship without you giving up and just reaching a point where you reject the whole relationship. Patience is very vital, because believe you me, you will forgive. The person might end up making the same mistake, might do the same thing they did that you forgave them for. But it's very important for you to be patient enough to trust that through God, that person will be able to change and be what they should be. Okay, they'll stand right and they'll do things the right way. But trust me, patience is something that you need to have, and your heart is going to be stretched. The other thing that I want you to know is you need to seek godly counsel. Without godly counsel, it is very difficult. There are people that are more mature, that have gone through things that we might not have gone through, that have the relevant knowledge and wisdom. For some of us to be able to hold to relationships, for us to be able to grow and mature, we had godly counsel from godly people, mature people that probably understand relationships. They gave us this counsel so that we might be able to stand and to do what is right, for us to be able to stretch our hearts, for us to be able to look at situations and judge them rightly, for us to be able to grow in our relationships. Godly counsel was important and still is important. There's no place where you are so mature you cannot get godly counsel. Godly counsel will always be something that you should hold valuable, and something that I hold valuable too. Sex is not the focus of a relationship. Many people want to sit and focus on sex. Remember, sex is for procreation, and it is also for the enjoyment of people that are in marriage. So let's say if you're in a relationship and the reason why you want to get into a relationship is to have sex with someone's son or daughter, you're doing the wrong thing, because we do not get into a relationship for that. It's just something that is part of the relationship, but it's not the main goal. Even when Adam when Adam and Eve were together, they did not say, okay, here, be together simply because you should have sex. There were there was a different focus to help Adam serve God. He was given a helpmate. We're here for service, to serve God and to do all those things. And marriage is something that helps us in the process, for us to stand right and to not be sinful. But if you look at sex as the thing that best holds a relationship, you got it all wrong, and your relationship will fail, because you are putting something that is not supposed to be a focus, as the main focus, as a focus. It is important, but is not the main focus. So, look, it's tempting to try and attract a man using carnal means. So if you attract someone using carnal forms to be in a relationship with them using carnality, you will constantly need carnality to keep them. Okay? If you got a man simply by sleeping with him, and you feel like after you have him, you will lead him to Christ, and you won't have to sleep with him, that's a lie, because you cannot use carnal means to hold a relationship and think you use spirituality to keep it. What you used in the first place, that's what you'll continuously use. It will keep feeding on that. So be careful how you end up attracting whoever or whatever keeps you or brings that relationship together. Let these things not be carnal. Use godly. Whatever you do should be godly. However you get into a relationship, let the first point that I brought out, let God be the one that directs you, not by any means to bring in any form of carnality, because it will feed on you, it will eat on you, and it will finish your stand with God, and you will no longer recognize the person that you used to be. So also be upfront. One of the few things that people don't do is they are not upfront with each other. They do not sit to really communicate what are my values, what do I want out of this, who am I. So communication is very important in a relationship, because it opens you to bringing out truth of who you really are, truth of what you are really looking for in the relationship. And communication is really a building factor. It builds you, it upholds the relationship, and it pushes you to knowing the person that you're with. So please be upfront and be intentional about communication. Finally, please compromise by accepting a person for who they really are. What do I mean compromise? Many of the times when we look at people and our relationships have hit the reality stage, we are always forced to want to make the person be what you want them to be. Say for instance, I get to talk a lot. My husband is mostly on the introvert side, and it's wrong, and it will completely be wrong if he wants me to be like him, to be quiet and to not by any means come out the way I am. You cannot change a person. You need to begin to accept the person for who they really are. Perhaps there might be certain attributes that might not be pleasing to you, but you can help them change. But when they change, they don't change to become who you want them to be or who you picture them to be. They become the best of who they should really be, of how God sees them and has called them to be, in their noisiness, in their talkativeness. They can be the best in that very nature. So you need to compromise, and you need to continuously make these compromises concerning your feelings towards your partner and the person that you're with. Looking at these 10 things, I hope they bless you, and I hope you think about them even as you are embarking on getting into a serious relationship, on getting married, or the person that you're with. If you're looking to developing your relationship in a proper manner, or if you've hit the reality or you've hit the natural steps of a relationship, I want you to know that there's nothing wrong with that. It's how you decide to move from that point that is really important. God bless you.
Don't forget to subscribe, turn on the notification button so that you do not miss new content. Thank you for watching.